All right. Greetings and welcome back once again. This is Amuna, and guess what? I pray everybody is doing well. All right. Greetings, and welcome back once again. This is Amuna, and like I already said, I pray everybody is doing well. Look now, this one right here, okay? This one right here is about to be a banger, okay? So shout out to everybody who has just joined us. I never just clean my glasses. And welcome to those who are brand new to the channel, okay? We are about to do a deep dive. I'm going to recap episode 1 and 2. As I said, I'm learning and growing along right with you. So in episode 1, we came from selected writings and speeches of Marcus Garvey, the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. And in episode 1, we learned that what the beginning parts of his childhood, he told us not a lot, but he gave us a little snapshot. But if you heard episode 1, I had more questions than answers, okay? And much people in the audience, shout out to everyone who joins us, had questions too. Like, wait a minute, Marcus, why are you skipping over stuff, right? So in episode 2, I took the time to do some backstory and go into his parents, his grandparents, and that episode is called The Grandparents of Garveyism. Now today, hey, we said today we had some question about the neighbor, the incident when he first realized race, right? That had me curious because that is like a pivotal moment in a young person's life. And, tell us more. So, and there was something else we were going to learn about today. Oh, why he refused to be beat. So I'm going to read a little bit over what Marcus said because I have a lot to go through today. So I'm gonna try to keep my pace here today. So we're gonna start off. Let's see. We're not gonna get to the beaten part yet. We are gonna start off with what he says, and then we're gonna be reading from the book that's called Negro with a Hat, right? So that because it is in this book, I was perusing, studying, minding my business, and then I was like, wait a minute, hold up. He gave me the name. So because now I had the name of the preacher, I went looking, and guess who I found? Okay. So we're going to read what Marcus says. Then we're going to read what Negro in the Hat says. And then we're going to get into this paperwork. It says here. He says, I became a printer's apprentice at an early age. Wait, rewind, because this is all going to be important. So I'm just going to read it. I grew up with other black and white boys. I was never whipped by any, but made them all respect the strength of my arms. I got my education from many sources, through private tutors, 2 public schools, 2 grammar or high schools, and 2 colleges. My teachers were men and women of varied experiences and abilities. 4 of them were eminent preachers. 4 of his teachers were preachers. Mark, anytime it says stick up in, we're going to come back, okay? He says, they studied me and I studied them. With some, I became friendly in after years. Others, I drifted apart. Because as a boy, they wanted to whip me. Actually, right before I came on, I was like, let me look around. And I found something that speaks to why he keeps saying they wanted to whip me. He says, and I simply refused to be whipped. I was not made to be whipped. So some of his teachers wanted to whip him. It annoys me to be defeated. Hence, to me, to be once defeated is to find cause for an everlasting struggle to reach the top. He goes on to say, I'm going to jump down a little bit here. He was an apprentice. He says, let me jump there. So I wanted to read that whip part. So stick a pin there. And then he goes on to say here, to me, at home in my early days, there was no difference between white and black. One of my father's properties, the place where I lived most of the time, and we found out the name of the place. We're going to share that in a minute. Oh, no, that was from last episode. So when his grandfather died in 1891, he willed the place that was close to the church. I think it's Winders Lane or I think it's Winders Lane. So that property he's talking about, he first grew up at Market Street. And when his grandfather died, they moved to the other property that's close to the church. So he says, one of my father's properties, the place where I lived most of the time, was adjoined that of a white man. He had 3 girls and 2 boys. Well, it says, semicolon, goes on to say, the Wesleyan minister, another white man, whose church my parents attended, because they were like right there, right? Also had property adjoining ours. So he first told us about one person on one side, and now he's telling us about the people on the other side, which is the minister. He had 3 girls and 1 boy. That's the only descriptor. I was like, Marcus, you ain't give us no names. You only gave us 3 girls and 1 boy. Don't worry. We found them. All of us were playmates. Who? The 3 girls and the 1 boy, right? It says here, we romped and we were happy children, playmates together. We're going to come back. We were 2 innocent fools. So he jumped from everybody being playmates to only 2 people being playmates. That's what had my spidey senses tingling. I was like, how was everybody playmates? And now only 2 people playmates, right? So he jumps from everybody was a playmate. Then he says, we romped and we were happy children, playmates together. The little white girl who I liked the most knew no better than I did myself. We were 2 innocent fools who never dreamed of a race feeling and problem. As a child, I went to school with white boys and girls. Like all other Negroes, we were not called Negroes. I never heard the term Negro used once until I was 14. Mark that. When was Marcus born? 1887. He says he never heard the Negro term until he was 14. He also tells us that everybody was playing around in the neighborhood, but he liked one in particular. I don't want to put words in his mouth. I like the most. The little white girl whom I like the most. So just stick a pin right there. Let's move on. I wanted to read that to refresh our memory. You understand what I'm saying? But also just join us. Welcome to the conversation. Good evening, good evening, good evening, everybody. We are in for a treat today. So bless up yourself. All right, now, so where should we start? We're going to start with the book. So let me go ahead and change my little things here, sir. We are going to start with the book, Negro with a Hat. Okay, that's the name of the book. And the author is Colin Grant. Okay? Negro with a Hat, and the author is Colin Grant. So let me go ahead and get his take on that portion we just read. I have a lot of screens up, so no, not that one there. On the Africa, kind of bear with I and I. Bear with I. All right, boom. So this is Negro with a Hat, and we are on page 8. I think I put the link in the box if you want the book. It's available on Amazon and other places. Okay, we already read about the father. Okay, let's jump down here. All right. A class apart from peasant farmers. No. That's his son. Okay, his son Marcus was born at 32 Market Street. So that's why I was just saying, when you see that what has become a national site is the site on Market Street. A heritage site, right? That's popping down as we speak, but that's the heritage site, but they moved to another. Winders Hill is where they moved. It says, which is not too far from Market Street because I looked it up, right? But it says his son Marcus was born at 32 Market Street. Typical of the area, it was recalled an early boyhood friend, Isaac Rose, a functional and what is this? Unprepositioning wood old board up house. Sorry. Give me a minute. But Garvey's father was an ambitious man who bought land up on Winder's Hill. He turned his trade to good use and, with great satisfaction, built a Spanish wall house for his family on the outskirts of town in the St. Anne's district. Again, his grandfather was also a Mason. So his grandfather's name was William. He was a Mason. Marcus Garvey Sr. or Malchus was a Mason, a stonemason, but his son became a printer's apprentice, right? So let's continue. So we know how they got that. They inherited the house on Winder's Hill that Marcus was just speaking about, that was next to these two European neighbors, right? It goes on to say, commonly referred to as Garden Parish because of its outstanding and natural beauty, the property on the hill backed onto the cloisters, once the home of the Anglican rector George Wilson Bridges, one of Jamaica's most ardent and vocal opponents of emancipation of the enslaved. That's another story. I looked him up. That's another story. During Garvey's time, however, the cloisters had been purchased by the Wesleyan Methodist Church. Garvey Sr. was a master mason whose service, though not always affordable to local people, was much in demand. So they're right next to, and we're going to see a picture of this church as well. It goes on to say, okay, they tell us about Garvey's mother, which we went over last episode, right? Let's jump down. This goes on to tell us more about that. All right. Okay, let's jump down. They were able to move out of their humble dwellings. No, this is for the neighbor. A generation up from slavery, Mr. Garvey, as he insisted on being referred to by everyone, including his wife, was extravagantly proud, self-educated man who had amassed an impressive collection of precious books. In later life, Marcus Garvey would recall how he'd steal into his father's library and luxuriate in the knowledge contained therein. Hold on, we want to jump down here. So we read a little bit about that. And we are going to get to, all right. It says here, the local church and Sunday school came with an extra hazard, as Garvey Sr. was an occasional layman, though by his son's account then ever in attendance, Mr. Garvey was most likely to be found asleep in the gallery. Isaac Rose recalled a bruising encounter. And there, I saw a video, a little documentary with Isaac Rose, who says that he was Garvey's childhood friend, right? A bruising encounter with Marcus when Rose and the other local boys rolled up some paper, fashioned a makeshift cigarette for the sleeping Mr. Garvey, placed it in his lips, lit it, and ran. The ringleader was caught by the furious and protective Junior Garvey and thrown down the stairs of the church. So when Marcus said here that he let people to be afraid of him and that he used his strength, what him say? We don't want to tell no lie. What him say over here? He says, I developed a strong and forceful character and have maintained it still. I was strong and manly and I made them respect me. So according to this story, the youth them a prank and them a prank him father and him catch them and fling him down the steps. Okay, I didn't say it. It says, when his father wasn't the chosen victim, Marcus was not averse to joining in the pranks and hijinks of gang. Sunday school seems to have served primarily as a venue for the local boys to try to impress the girls. Now, we gotta listen good now, you know. We gotta listen real good now, you know. So Sunday school, the pastor who lives next door, all of this is gonna come into play. Sorry, it goes on to say, Sunday schools seem to have served primarily as a venue for the local boys to try to impress the girls and for Garvey to hone his mimetic skills. Amy Ashwood, whose life was to become intensely linked with Garvey's, wrote that Marcus was barely 7 years old when he began to play the role of priest, guiding his flock, composed of his village playmates, preparing his own divine service, his own hymns and prayers, and would close the meeting with a rousing sermon. By the age of 12, Marcus had developed a talent to amuse his peers and irritate his 62-year-old father. Okay? So we're learning a little bit about Marcus's behavior at this point, right? He would have been what was some would consider an out of control picnic to a certain degree. What he was doing in the neighborhood, running up on people, all this other stuff. It says here, wife and child beating were commonplace on the island among the peasant and artisan classes. Mr. Garvey did not depart from the script of Jamaican fathers' conventional approach to imparting of wisdom and lessons to their sons. The way he put that, succinctly characterized by local expression, if you can't learn, you will feel, he was an intolerant and punitive husband and father. His self-righteous indulgence in the brutality of fact was aptly demonstrated when his young son Marcus and his idle semi-delinquent gang were arrested after they were seen throwing stones that broke all the windows in the local Wesleyan church. Listen, this is all very important. The boys were brought before the juvenile court on a charge of willful destruction. So them broke out according to this narrative, broke out the church window them. Them a get on bad. It says, the boys were brought before the juvenile court on a charge of willful destruction. Amy Ashwood recalled that when Marcus was found guilty, the magistrate turned to his father and gave him two options. He could either pay a fine of £1 or the boy would be imprisoned. At what age? 12-year-old? It says, in his wrath, Mr. Garvey wiped his hands of his son and urged the bench to send his son to a reformatory, said Ashwood. And Amy Ashwood is Amy number one, right? Despite pleas from his wife, Sarah, Garvey Sr. would not relent. The brutal fact was that the boy had broken the law, and he, not the father, should suffer. Marcus was only spared imprisonment when Sarah came forward and promised to pay the fine of savings she could ill afford. So the father said, make them fling him in there, man. Me can't bother. Me a book figure read. And the mother's like, no, because of the way that we heard it before, reading Amy number 2, is that Marcus was his mother coddled him to a certain degree because his father was so strict and distant, right? The incident strained relations between father and son, even if Marcus had been able to move away mentally from such an act of paternal betrayal. There were other examples of brutality that would be stored up for adulthood. Perhaps the most bizarre took place under a backdrop of seemingly tender moment of maturing cooperation. Wait, hold on. This is when the father put him in the pit. But wait, I'm missing. Give me 1 second. Did I skip down too far? No. Okay, here we are. We might have to get to that pit episode next time because we got a lot to get to here. And I'm trying to get to the name of the neighbor. So we're going to have to get to that pit episode next time. Okay, let's jump down. Let's jump down. It says here, Marcus would later write with aching tenderness about not Bajo. It was about this time that Garvey recorded yet another emotional blow in a scene reminiscent of his future rival with William Edward Burghardt Du Bois, early brush with the color line. Garvey was friendly with Reverend Lightbourne's daughter. So this is when I was reading it. I was like, hold up. That's the name of the Wesleyan pastor who lived next door, Lightbourne, right? It says, though she was white and he was black, they had played throughout childhood with no regard for the differences of their races. All that changed when the girl reached 14. She informed him that she would be leaving shortly to continue her education in Scotland, and that though there was very possibility she would return to the island, her departure marked the end of their friendship. Garvey was perplexed as to why this should be. When he pressed her for an explanation, she confessed that the decision had been made by her father, Mr. Reverend Lightburn. The minister had instructed his daughter that she was never to write or to try to get in contact or touch with him, for I was a ninja. As told by Garvey, it had never occurred to him before that he was such a thing. Okay, so that's what I wanted to read right there. It took a little work up to that to get to that point, right? Let me go ahead and drop this thing. Hold on, stop sharing. So it took a little work to get up to that point, but that's how I was reading, and I was like, okay, Reverend Lightborn. So you don't know what we have to do already. What have to go find Mr. Rev? Okay, so let's go. Let's go. How's everybody doing? Y'all doing good? Y'all doing good. All right, boom. So we have that, right? And that was from the book Negro with a Hat. It's just giving us more information. The little Marcus left all of that out, okay, about the whole Reverend Lightborn situation. So now we are going to hop over to getting into some kind of sequential order here. So hold on one second. This Reverend Lightborn, who ends up living next to him and close to the church, right? We are going to share this here screen. What am I on? We're going to share my screen right here, and we're going to go to my favorite, the Gleaner. We're going to go to the Gleaner, all right? So let me make sure that I have the right tab. This is Gleaner 1901. No, not that one. What number is? Hold on, everybody. What number is this? March 11th. All right, March 11th. Yeah, I try to tell you, we need to do these things for our own family history, for our own edification, because I see so much stuff repeated online, and I'm like, okay, is that true? Are we repeating falsehoods? Let me remove this thing right here so that we can set the record straight, and then we can have a conversation based on that, right? So this Greener article, where did it go down? I'm sharing the Gleaner article. Where's the Gleaner article? Where am I put the Gleaner article? Oh, see ya. All right. If you could see right here, this is March 11th, 1901. Y'all gotta make somebody put it in the chat so we could keep tabs on what we learning here. So the name of the pastor, his actual full name is Arthur Francis Lightburn, and he's a Wesleyan minister pastor that lived beside the Garveys on Winders Hill. Okay, his name is A.F. Lightburn. So this right here is Monday, March 11th, 1901. That's why I tell them, let's get to the T or something. This one we're going to go in a little bit. All right. Now, if you look on the second, third, fourth row right here, it says Wesleyan Conference, right? So what it appears like is that they were reassigning these ministers all over the island. So when you scroll down, final draft of stations. So the year is 1901, okay? This is important later. The year is 1901. And if we went past Kingston District and we're coming on down and we see St. Anne District. I'm used to reading these little patchy things. It may look a little fuzzy, but I see it. Okay. It says here St. Anne District. And then right there it says St. Anne Bay, Arthur F. Lightburn, and it's highlighted. Hopefully y'all see that. Let me know if you guys see that. Where the highlight is Arthur F. Lightburn, that means that in 1901 he gets stationed in St. Anne's Bay. Okay? He gets stationed in St. Anne's Bay in 1901. and the man's name is Arthur. Why is this important? Because you know what? We seem to think that things or people just come out of the blue, and they get a disposition, and we see the fire burning in them, and we see all of these things, but we don't know what went into the making of this, and we also don't know what's really driving it behind all of what is in front, right? So for full transparency, we trying to figure out, okay, why did it work? Why were you so passionate? Why did you have some blind spots? You understand me? I said, all right, boom. So now we have Arthur. Sorry, I misspelled his name. Right. Thank you, Amoni. Let me fix it there. Let me fix that. Yeah, his name is Arthur. I'm putting his name as Arthur. Francis Lightboard. I just want us to follow the trail right now. Thank you, Amza. All right, boom. So that's what we on. So that's 1901. So we have proof that in 1901, right? Not Marcus, A.F. Lightbourne is being stationed in St. Anne's Bay. Also, we're gonna move on. So I'm gonna stop sharing that because we already established that fact. Right? So let's go to the next one now. Let's go to the next one. Now, before we get to the daughters, because guess what Arthur has? He has 3 daughters and 1 son. We're gonna get to that. But before we get to that, let's just get some of this other stuff out the way real quick. Some of this other stuff out the way real quick. I'm gonna share, what year is this? Just to show you, I want to establish that Arthur was moving around with his family. 1898. Okay, 1898. So I'm going to share my screen again. Exactly. Thank you, Monique. I was going to ask it, but I held it back. How old is Marcus in 1901? Marcus is born 1887. Put it in the box if you would like. How old is Marcus? Thank you, Jerry. Marcus is 14. We're going to read what Marcus said again. Marcus is playing a little bit right now. Marcus is 14 when they come to town. He said these were his playmates and he was playing with them for the longest time. But these particular playmates, they weren't in town. And we're going to find out. We finna find out. Okay, where am I at now? What was the other one? I just passed it. All right, boom. This is what? February 1898. So how do we know that they weren't in town, right? How do we know they weren't in town? February 1988. I know some people like, dang, Amuna, you missed your calling as a lawyer. Look, Wesleyan conferences, right? Second draft of stations, 1898. Remember, 1901, A.F. Lightbourne, he gets put in St. Anne. But 2 years prior, or 3 years prior, in 98, you know where he's at? Kingston District. There you go. He's not in Mobay. He's not in St. Anne. Okay? Because we see those who are in St. Anne. He's not in Morant District. He's not in all of these places. Guess where he is? He's in Kingston. A.F. Lightbourne is in Kingston in 1898. So when Marcus tells us that these particular people, I don't know if these people were his playmates or the other people was his playmates, but we know these particular ones that he had an inclination to, she wasn't his playmate at that time. All of us were playmates. We romped and we were happy children, playmates together. The little white girl who I liked the most knew better than I did. We were 2 innocent fools who never dreamed of race, feeling, or problem. But at the time that Marcus meets her, depending on which one it is, because we have 2 sisters to pick from, we're going to have to use deduction. So in 1898, old dude, A.F. Lightbourne, he is not in St. Anne. So I could release that. All right. As it relates to when he gets to St. Anne. Oh, I already gave you that. He gets his appointment to St. Anne in 1901. Okay? In 1901. So when he gets there, Marcus is how old? 14 years old. How old did he tell us the incident happened? He was 14 years old. So we are on the right track. When he gets there now, this is the year 1903. This is the year 1903. This particular pastor is curious. 1903. For real, right? This stuff is exciting. Let me see here. 1903. I like putting, because to me this stuff, when you put it together, it answers a lot of questions. I'm a person, I'm curious. I don't just like guessing and making up stuff. I like knowing what I'm talking about and even what's being shared, so that we can learn the lessons that's there. In 1903, right? Just to get you insight on what type of pastor this was. Remember, they got in trouble for breaking according to the text, for breaking the church windows. In 1903, this pastor, A.F. Lightburn, he's over here talking about where's he? Floggings in our schools. The Reverend A.F. Lightburn of St. Anne's Bay, because we know he went there in 01, so he's been there 2 years, has authorized us to offer a prize of 10 shillings for the best paper on the following subject: is the custom of flogging what is this? The other one is a thing. As it's something in our elementary day schools conducive to the moral improvement of the scholars. Papers must not exceed 1 column of the Gleaner. This competition also closes on the 28th. So he wants to put in the paper that he has a competition that the people should put in and write whether or not they should be beating the children in school. Remember what Marcus kept saying? He kept saying, I refuse to be whipped. They wanted to whip me. I was not made to be whipped. Referring to his teachers who he studied with, right? So this particular pastor, we don't know what side of this whipping conversation he's on, but we do know it's something of importance to him, because he decides that he is going to put it in the paper. So in December of that year, good night, good night, good night. Welcome to those who just joined us. Right now, I'm just establishing some base facts before we get to the conclusion here. December, this one is a little bit clear. Good of flogging in the schools. So my man said, guess what? I go and fix no. I go and work in a competition to see who can write the best paper. Yo, what was good with A.F. Lightburn though? A.F. Lightburn said, I go and start a competition to see who, if whipping should be in school. So, good of flogging in schools. Competition for prize offered by the Reverend A.F. Lightburn, same one, neighbor of Marcus Garvey, 14-year-old daughter, or daughter who Garvey was kind of felt a way about, okay, of St. Anne's Bay. Objections taken by the winning writer. The Reverend A.F. Lightburn, who judged the paper for his prize of 10 shekels, has decided that number 1 is something, and the prize is accordingly awarded to the writer, Mr. J.M. Sitnanada of Church something in Kingston, Church Street, Kingston. His paper follows. And then they go into the paper. Okay? But for the sake of time, I'm not about to go into the paper. But, there we go. So, old boy is over here trying to make changes in the community. Remember, we just read about some unruly children, and Marcus is among them. Marcus is among them. Okay, so that's just to establish a little bit about who this pastor is. Let me close up some of these tabs here. And I found, interestingly, what is this here? About the church. I have a picture of the church modern day, and then I found a book, The Wesleyan Methodist Mission in Jamaica. And so I'm going to show the church real quick, and then we are going to... Which one? Jerry said, beg your paragraph out of the paper. Y'all know I'm coming straight out my head on this one. Once I see the information, my mind just goes, and then it just starts like putting the stuff where they belong. Hold on. My computer. Are y'all following along so far? Let me know if I'm going too fast, if I need to slow down a little bit, because this is a lot of information. So let me know if this is going too fast. So this is a picture here. See St. Anne's Bay? This is the Wesleyan Methodist mission in Jamaica and Honduras, delineated, containing a description of the principal stations together with a consecutive account of rise and progress of the work of God at each. Okay, this was publication 1850. So this is what we're looking at here, sideways, of course, is St. Anne's. Gone over, where gone over for? I want to this thing. It skipped on me. Let me see if I could go back. There it is. All right. So if we see, this is the church here that Marcus Garvey would have been going to. See it? St. Anne's Bay Chapel. This is what it looks like. This is, will you behave yourself? This is what it looks like here, right? This thing now behave. And then we have a picture in real time. So let me show that real quick. I'm telling you guys, you know, this stuff, people will be like, this don't mean nothing. Somebody's writing and they're telling us something, but they're not telling us the whole story. So how do we really understand what they are saying? So this one is coming from a blog. It's the same. Doesn't it look like the same picture we just saw in the book? This is coming from a blog about Garvey, the significance of the St. Anne Bay Methodist Church to Garvey. So we just saw it in the book. We even saw the fence in the book, and this would have been the church. And allegedly, these would have been the church windows that he and his homies broke. And that day he was going to go to jail for £1. Okay? This would have been the church here, and that would have been the windows. All right? So I just wanted to show that, just because that's interesting. That is interesting. So let's move along here. Let us move along. So I established already that according to the Negro with the hat, we have the name of the pastor, and then we see the pastor being stationed in 1901 in St. Anne's. And now we're going to see how and why he was moving around a lot. Right? Oopsie. Welcome to those who have just joined us. Where did I say I was going to go now? Okay. All right. So now we're going to go to the daughters. Because remember, what did Marcus say? Marcus said, and just to let everybody know, on Monday, I didn't know all this stuff. When I was asking the question, they say, ask and you shall receive. On Monday, I didn't know this stuff. I did not know this stuff. Or whenever I did the video last week, I didn't know this stuff. But ask and you shall receive. Isn't that so? It says here. Oh, what may I look for? Oh, yeah. It says here, he had 3 girls, the Wesleyan minister, A.F. Lightburn, right? Another white man whose church my parents attended, we just saw the church, also had property adjoining ours. He had 3 girls and 1 boy. All of us were playmates. We romped and were happy playing children together. The little white girl whom I liked the most knew no better than I did myself. We were 2 innocent fools. Okay, Marcus, let's take a look at the white girl who you like the most, possibly. Okay. Somebody tag Dr. Umar Johnson. We need some answers, Dr. Umar. I'm messing with y'all. I don't want Umar coming for me. This is just history, y'all. I ain't making it up. Okay. So we have, no, that's not the first one I want. No, wait a minute. Hold up. Okay. No. Okay, wait a minute. I'm gonna give you what's on my screen, but for some reason the first 2 is not in order. So let me get that real quick. Hold on for me 1 second, because I don't want to go out of order, because I kind of want to show. Let me upload this thing real quick. I'm missing I'm missing the first screenshot here of the, where did that go? Of the birth certificate. Okay, here we are. Okay, that's the marriage certificate. Okay, let me get the birth certificate. Hold on for me. Eleanor's birth certificate. So the first daughter's name is Eleanor, right? The first daughter's name is Eleanor. She's born in 1889. I'm just going to go over it as I'm trying to get this proper thing here. The first daughter's name is Eleanor, and she's born in 1889. Marcus is born in 1887. She would have been the closest in age to him, right? And so my inclination is that this possibly is, right, this possibly is the girl. So let me go ahead and put up her birth certificate, I mean her stats here. Right, here it is. So this is Eleanor R. Lightbourne. Her father name was what? Arthur Francis Lightbourne, right? So this is the pastor, preacher that was living next door. This daughter, remember, Marcus said he had 3 daughters and 1 son. She was born in Portland, Jamaica in April 19th, 1889. So she and he would have been closer in age because she is the oldest. Okay, we saw that. So in 1889, he's not near St. Anne. He is in Portland. Okay, the next sister is Beryl. Why is this? The next sister's name is Beryl, and she's born in 1891. I had loaded everything up, but for some reason, Marcos, mash up that. where I try do. Hold on. Yo, where I try do? Me say we was playmates. What you mean, man? Yeah, come try. Where you try? Show up, I. Come on, Marcus. We just trying to figure out what the real to real is. Let me see here. I don't know where the other sister's thing went. I saved it, but apparently I must have saved it differently. For the sake of time, the second sister's name is Beryl. And Beryl is born in 1891. Okay? Just go on take in this, and somebody, if you can, please just put the dates in the on the chat here. Let me see. Where Beryl birth certificate gone? Yes, Sita. All right, hold on there. I know I'm not bugging. All right. Okay, here we are. So the next birth certificate is going to be Beryl's birth certificate, or just the birth information, right? For those of us who had questions, here she is. Boom. So the first one was in Portland because that's where he's met. We saw that they assigned them different places on the island, and then they have to go, right? So the second place that the child is born. So the first child is born in Portland. I'll write that down if somebody's writing it down. The first child is born in Portland, right? So Eleanor is born in Portland. And this is also, I'm doing it also to show how I do genealogy, right? If you're doing your own family, you kind of got to just keep tabs on what you're finding and do the dates, because sometimes you would find similar names and it's not your people's, you know? So the first child is born in Portland. The second child, whose name is Beryl, is born in where? Westmoreland. So she's nowhere near uh St. Anne for when Marcus is really a young boy. Okay. Now this third child, does it match up with what we found in the newspaper? All right, let's see. Let's see if the third child matches up with what we found in the newspaper. The third child's name is Olga. And as you see, it's the same parents. The same parents. Francis Rebecca is the mother. Arthur Francis is the father. This third daughter, remember Marcus said 3 girls and 1 boy. So the third daughter is named Olga. Olga. And Olga, greetings and welcome those who have just joined us. We're going fully in. We having a whole lesson today. Olga, right, is born in St. Anne. So remember, we know the father gets there in 1901. So it makes sense. In 1903, it can't be Olga he's talking about because Olga was born in 1903. Okay, where my little handy dandy calculator? So in as we stated in 1901 when they got to town. In 1901, then when they got to town, Marcus is how old? He's going over. He's not just a little boy. Marcus is 14. Marcus is 14. Eleanor is how old? She's born in 1889. Eleanor is 12. That's why I'm inclined to think it's Eleanor. And then, what the next pitney name? What me say next pitney did name? Beryl. I always spell our name. Beryl is too young. Beryl born in a 19. What Beryl born again? What me say she born? 1891. So Beryl being born in 1891. Beryl is 10. So we could use our sense to say possibly who it could be. That would have been more his age mate. But I don't know. He says when he was 14. Okay, investigative reporting. Right? That's how we do the thing. So we not depend on this internet and spread lies from people. Right? And we not depend on it a gossip neither. Okay? So now we have the 3 girls. Remember, Marcus said he had 3 girls. So with the boy that Mona, you not give with the boy, you said 3 girls, me not see a boy. All right. So now we're gonna get to the boy. And the boy's name was Roger. Roger born when? See Roger parents, Arthur and Francis. Roger born 1906. That time, him couldn't not play with Roger because them time there, but he is already gone to Kingston and Roger is a baby. Okay? So that last baby is a boy. And by the time 1906, Marcus Garvey is 19. He's not playing with Roger. Roger is a baby. Okay? So let me just put Roger in here so that now we say, boom, we found who was the neighbor. Okay? Roger is born in 1906. Okay, great. I just wanted to establish that. Let me know what y'all thinking so far. Is this entertaining? Is it entertaining? Let me come to see what's going on in the comment section, and then I'm going to continue. Right? So far, just for those who just joined us, what we have in this conversation is that we're reading back over what Marcus shared with us. We're also looking at, hello everyone. We're also looking at the details of the story. Who could be the neighbor? Who could be the little girl that he was inclined towards? But the reality is he said it happened when he was 14. There's chances are, he, based on the reputation that he's now having in the community, there could be a number of reasons beyond just his color. I'm not saying it didn't have anything to do with his color, but based on what we're hearing, there could have been more reasons than one for this pastor, minister, preacher guy to say he didn't want his daughter next to her. Now, for the purposes of where did the daughters go, I looked. I didn't see any traveling. At that time, the only way you traveling is by sea. And I didn't see any records of travel. Now, I'm not saying that the Wesleyan minister pulled a Norval, but we know by reading Bob Marley's story, when Norval said that Bob was going to school in St. Thomas, he was at Miss Gray house. So I'm not saying they didn't travel to Scotland. I'm saying I don't see a record of them traveling to Scotland. I don't know. That's so yeah. That's what I got. We found the name. We found the family. We found some of the antics that was happening, some of the concerns that were going on in the community at the time. And let me see if I missed anything else. I introduced you to Mr. Lightburn, showed you that I'm just going through everything I had to say here, and then I'm going to come to the comment section. Showed where he was stationed, that he moved all around the island, and that Marcus couldn't have known that particular family until he was 14 years old. Yeah. So let's say it again. Let's read what he says again. As a child, I went to school with white boys and girls like all other Negroes. We were not called Negroes then. I never heard the term Negro used once until I was 14. 14 is when they came to town. At 14, my little white playmate and I parted. Her parents thought the time had come to separate us and draw the color line. They sent her to and her another sister. It might have to be the older sister, but that doesn't, how would they would send, we just say, well, how old were they? What did I just say? 12 and 10? So they sent the 12 and 10-year-old to Scotland by their onesie? They might have pulled a Norval, like, yo, go to Kingston. Oh, yes, I forgot. I have one more thing for you. He says that they sent them to Edinburgh, Scotland, and told her that she was never to write or try to get in touch with me, for I was a ninja. It was then that I found for the first time that there was some difference in humanity and that there were different races, each having its own separate and distinct social life. I did not care about the separation. Marcus, you ain't care about the separation? You wrote more about the little white playmate than you did about your own mama and daddy, Marcus. I think you cared. That's just me. I think you cared. He says, I did not care about the separation after I was told about it because I never thought all during our childhood association. Marcus, they just got there when you were 14. How was it all throughout your childhood association? Unless this ain't them. These particular ones, the minister, they just got there. I did not care about the separation after I was told about it because I never thought all during our childhood association that the girl and the rest of the children of her race were better than I was. In fact, they used to look up to me, so I simply had no regrets. I think that one affected him. I'm just saying he gave it a lot of airtime. Now, to wrap this particular portion up, they eventually got married. This is why I think they kind of the pops might have pulled a Norval. I don't know. It's giving me, did you send a 12 and 10-year-old to Scotland? With who? With who? When you're dotting all over the island and you sent them to Scotland? Okay, so Eleanor gets married here in 1919. So this event happens in, according to him, it's 1901 if it's when he's 14. If it's when she's 14, it's 1903. But if it's when he's 14, it's 1901. And she gets married to a Louise Vieira. See her name? Eleanor Richardson Lightburn. Sorry. And she gets married in 1919, August 7th. That time, Marcus is in full-fledged UNIA mode. And he's in New York and he's doing his thing. And possibly, if this is her, and all accounts is pointing towards her, Eleanor is here getting married to Louise. And if it's Beryl, which I don't know, she would have been kind of young, 10. I don't know about that. Arnold, she gets married to Arnold Clark Beryl Havagal, When I saw that name, I was like, yo, is her name Haver? I know it's Haver girl, but Havagal Lightborn. And she gets married the year after her oldest sister. And back in the day, the oldest is expected to get married first, so it kind of makes sense that the oldest sister gets married. She gets married August of the previous year, and then her next sister gets married. So that's what I have. Okay. I know it was a lot. I know it was a lot to digest, but I kind of just wanted to establish some things based on the clues he gave, based on what was written in the book Negro with a Hat, based on what the records are saying. There was such a pastor. He did have 4 children, 2 older daughters. Everything fits the description. And here we are. It's either Eleanor or Beryl. And I'm leaning towards Eleanor. Let me know what you think. I'm going to go ahead and boogie on into these comment sections. And then I'm going to, you know what I mean? Yeah. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, her husband is Portuguese. I just said it was a different time. Indeed, it was a different time. However, I'm just not even really looking at the fact that it's a different time. I'm just trying to substantiate the facts. You know what I mean? Just substantiate what Marcus said. He said it really didn't affect him, but I think it did, because that is the sticking point. That is what now he begins to go forward. That's the lens by which he's viewing the world. This is the seed of the UNIA. This is the seed of Garveyism, right? This interaction, so much so that he gave it a lot of airtime. So I just wanted to go back and really substantiate some of the things that was said and left on record. And lo and behold, it's there. And lo and behold, you know what I mean? I think it's more than, I think it had importance to him, because if it didn't, he wouldn't have written it down. Yeah, I know. When I was looking for, because sometimes, and I'm doing this also as again, to illustrate that it can be done for our own families. I've done it for my own family. You could do it for yours. You're not getting on Air Jamaica in 1901, bruh. You're not getting on Air Jamaica. You're getting on a ship. And if you're getting on a ship, then there's travel documents. Plain and simple. There's going to be the manifest, your name, your age, your country of origin, all of these descriptors. Sometime your race. There's going to have your port. It depends on. So therefore, when I'm looking for Eleanor and Beryl, the 12 and the 10-year-old that Marcus said her father said we're going to Scotland, I'm not saying they didn't go. I'm just saying I didn't see them. And it might be giving Norval vibes. That's all I'm saying. It might be giving Norval vibes. Yeah, Lucy, I have to say Ninja for the purposes of YouTube and just being respectful. They didn't call him Ninja. They called him a derogatory term for a black person, right? So this is what he's saying his playmate said was repeated to her why she couldn't play with him anymore. Maybe the minister saw Marcus, the ringleader of the children, the rebel rousing children in the community, getting too close and friendly with his daughter. And maybe he felt like he needed to do something. But the reality is that he may have played with other children of different demographics, but this particular family didn't get there till he was 14. So he couldn't have been playing with them like when he was a wee lad. He couldn't have been playing with them when he was a wee lad. He could not have been playing with them as a wee lad. Right. The parents looked like they wanted to step in and so that no feelings would develop. You know what I mean? So, I just says, thanks for the source. You're pulling on all of it. Yeah, I mean, you know, yeah. Yeah, children, it's really the adults who come in and kind of frame things for children. I think he's trying to make that point, that there wasn't any separation and they were just children playing together. But again, when I found the dates on this, I was like, hold on, Marcus, you was a whole big 14-year-old, man. Think of 14-year-old. You wasn't no little pitney. You did big. You did big. I look for Eleanor. Eleanor is She got married in Kingston. That's why I think Eleanor probably went to Kingston and not Scotland, because she gets married in 1919 and her sister Beryl gets married in 1920. So I think Eleanor possibly went to another parish, and that's why he said that the father said don't write him, because maybe she might go somewhere and say, hey, this is where I am. But I don't know. I don't know. That part I don't know. So Frances Richardson is the mother. Frances Richardson is the maiden name of the mother, and Arthur is the name of their father. So that's that. I'm just going through the questions here. I just say you make it entertaining. I think it is very entertaining. Was he not married? You know what? Did I cross reference that? I'm thinking married man. I don't know why the mother had that name, her maiden name tacked on. Emma is a minister. No. I did find a marriage certificate. I did find a marriage certificate. I think they married before. The first daughter is born. I think so. I don't think I loaded it up though. Hold on. If it's a quick look, but if not, then that's something you can look up. I think I came across it though. Yeah, I think I came across it. But for the purpose of, yeah, she has on Richardson, and we see the daughters also keep that Richardson name on. Let me see what else we got here. And that's kind of how you have to do it, line upon line, precept upon precept, to kind of line it up to see if the story makes sense. Okay, Shay is saying Marcus said the pastor owned, no, not the pastor didn't own the property. The church owned the property. That means anybody who they bring to that area would be able to stay in the house. That was not Marcus saying. Marcus said it was, let me see, go back here. Let me see. We read that it was the church who owned the property. If we go back, go find it. But me didn't read that. Say it was the church who owned the property. I where me did read that. If we go back, go look on that one day. Yeah, we could always double check that. So the point of the matter is they're being stationed all over, and the children are being born in these other. His children are being born in these other parishes. I'm not going to take that. Here it is. The property on the hill backed onto the cloisters, once the home of the Anglican rector George Willis Bridges, one of Jamaica's most ardent and vocal opponents of the emancipation of the enslaved. During Garvey's time, the cloister had been purchased by the Wesleyan Methodist Church. So it was the church who owned the property, not Lightborn himself who owned the property. So thank you for that, Shay. All right. Any other questions? Let me put a link in the box quickly. I'm not going to stay too long, but I'm putting a link here. If anybody have anything to share, I know that was a lot, but I say it go. And then we'll continue reading, shall we? I'm just trying to make sure I'm missing anything here. Monique say, Marcus strikes me as the type that would go down to the records office. He possibly would and look up Eleanor. Say, where that girl gone? Eleanor. You know, sometimes when you're young, even, and it's just really, you know somebody and then you got out of touch with the person and they come to your mind. Because when you're young, relationships and heartbreak and even commitment, they have a deeper impression. Like, it's like the cement, I like to say, is still wet. So when those type of relationships hurt, they hit deep, and they bond, they embed themselves in our memories. And so, yeah, he probably did wonder, even though he said, the fact that he said it didn't bother me, it kind of made me feel like it bothered him. Hey everyone, welcome, welcome, welcome. So with that said, yeah, I have to pay a fee for the Jamaica Gleaner Archives. The site is called, you ready for the site? Archives. No, that one in the name Archives. The site is named, what's out the paper there? I don't, hold on, let me tell you the site name. I usually just type it in, newspaper archives. And you have to pay a fee. And then you are able to access Gleaner articles. And even for family members or some topic you're trying to look up, it goes back to 1800s. Some of them are not as legible. Uh, some of them is a little smudge artist. If you could go out and come back in, because the device, it says, is not connected. Good night, everyone. So just for the recap, yeah, so back to the archives. Some of them are not as legible, but if you get a good batch, then it's going to be good. So for those who've just joined us, if you saw episode 1, we were wondering who was the girl, who was Marcus's little playmate. We were wondering who was the minister, or at least I was, right? We had questions about all of this tough guy conversation. And what we found today was the name of the minister, the name of the family, the possible name of the girl who he was inclined to, and we have all proof for that. We came with receipts, y'all. It's like, where are the receipts? We came with receipts. So if you missed it, feel free after the stream to go back to the top and, take a look at it. All right. We have artists. Welcome to the stage, artists. Welcome to the stage.
Thanks. Thank you so much. I mean, you're reading, and I have so much things that comes to mind. And it's like, of course, we didn't know Marcus. We're going by the book right now. We're learning much about him as you're giving us right now, except for what we see and, and what we hear. And I thank you for this. But just looking back on his story as a young boy and as somebody who grew up, in the island, you can just imagine, like you did touch upon it. The parents are the one that, what do we call it? What's the word we use? Inveigle them children and say
Inveigle.
things.
Yeah, inveigle them. Yeah, go on.
It's like we're kids, we're grown up, we're playing together. We don't know. It's like sometimes we would say from the islands, I didn't know the difference between black and white. We did, but we didn't know it as we did when we moved to the States,
Right, right.
because there was a black and white. And and these folks came over from Scotland or wherever they come from to set up shop, per se, to be your overseer, whether it be in the church, and to set up church to line up with the mentality of the European, to indoctrinate us to be their
Mm-hmm.
way. And they did that with the churches and the school. And especially in Jamaica, a lot of those schools were put up. We can't have a build more school in Jamaica. We can't build school in Jamaica. The foreigners are the one that build the schools, and that's what we're going off of at this day. There's parishes that you can't put up school there. You can't.
Mm.
We have to
I
keep
heard
doing
that.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
we have to keep using what the European came and brought to, and that's what we have to get used to. It's like we're indoctrinated by the European standards.
right,
And that's why they send those folks there to do that, to be the church, to, okay, if you can't get them in this way, get them in the church, teach them
right.
this, teach them that. And with Marcus, it's almost like he's out that rebellious spirit, like, you're
Mm-hmm.
right, you're not going to beat me, you're not going to do this. My parents raised me better than this. As you can tell, his dad or his mom is like educated, but his dad is smart enough, even though he's stubborn, to know that he's no mule.
Right,
And Marcus sees that in his father. And that's why when I said earlier that he's mama's boy, but his daddy's attitude is
right,
what he has. And just seeing this, you can see the person that he's going to become, and which he has become. And even though I said that with the girl didn't bother him, so that everything bothers you, but it's how you use it, how
right,
you see the world through those things that happens to you, and how when you go along, how you maneuver. And and good for him, a lot of things happen in his life when he's young. So when no with his, and it's a God things with everything, the passage you take, is going to lead you to where you're going to go, and those things you're going to fall upon, to use those things to propel you to the next level, to see people through the different lenses, or see
Right.
things in society through those lenses that you're used to when you're a child. It's just that you're at another level right now.
And that, like you're saying, I think this, he says it didn't bother him, but I think this is the catalyst. You understand what I'm saying? The response, I guess, he gets from for why this separation is happening, and the classification of him as less than, that he personally refuses to accept, I think is the catalyst to prove you wrong. You understand what I'm saying? I'm going to
Exactly.
show you that we are a mighty race. Kind of, that's kind of what I'm getting from it. I think that's for me why he puts it in his outline. I'm gonna call it an outline autobiography, is because it is important to the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
It is
Yeah.
important.
And he didn't say much about his parents, but he said much about this. To your point, was like, there's not much to be said about my parents, but I'm gonna tell you about these people where I am right now. And that's, like you said, that's the catalyst of what
Mhm.
he's pointing these stories out without even knowing it, which he knows it, but
Right.
we're reading into it.
Right.
This is what that makes you did what you did, because of how you see people, the lenses, the way people acts around you and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So I mean, it's just very interesting. I mean, I just love being here, having you breaking it down, have us use your mind and not just be like read and have somebody tell you something. You read and it
Right.
makes you think. Like,
Yes.
what could that have been? Or yeah, this is, you never really break down things that way. And the way you're breaking it down with us, I just love it.
Thank
I
you.
love
Thank
it.
you.
Makes you think out of the box and think what could be going on. And the fact that the daughters were sent to Kingston is a possibility, because they weren't, you're not supposed to really go back unless they send for you, your family,
Right.
because you're sent there for a purpose. That's where you're going to live, because we send you there to make a mark and to populate the, what do they want? They're white, they want to overrun the blacks. Remember, they couldn't do that. And so you
Right.
have to go there and grow your family.
Yeah, I don't think I'm not saying they didn't go to Scotland. I'm saying they may have pulled a Norval, because I don't see no Scotland records, but we do see them in Kingston some years later getting married. So
But me
they
not
could have
tell you
well and
say,
gone and came back. But yeah,
that
go
she
ahead.
was Scottish. Me not tell you.
Yes, but what may I say? You send the 12-year-old and the 10-year-old go Scotland.
You know what? When you're young, that young, you feel like a grown woman. Cause look how early they get married. They're grown women at certain age.
But
Yes,
they
you're
actually
young.
get married. They actually get married if it's 1919. She actually gets married, and she born 1919, and she born 19. She actually got married at 30 years old.
She old for get married. She old. Them
That
people
was old
old.
because usually they get
Yep.
married around 23, 24, 25. So the
Right.
fact that she gets married at 30 is
That's
curious.
very old. That's
That's
very
old
old.
in terms of, yeah, that's old in
In
terms of how, yeah.
European standard of
What
saying
you
from
said? She got
12
wait
years
for
old.
Marcos? No, let me stop playing. I
Can't wait
don't
for
know.
Marcus.
That's,
See, him couldn't find out they didn't have Google then. They didn't have nothing on the board. Take too long.
Marcus said, I'm not saying, we read the article. We saw the article last week when Marcus went to college and he went to his travels. He went to Edinburgh. I don't know. I don't know where he was looking. Some people's like, no, he was just traveling. I'm like, that is a very peculiar. And one of the subscribers looked it up. It's a good 500-600 miles away from
Yeah.
London.
Yeah,
You
he was
went on a
looking.
journey.
He went on a journey to go see if he run into her. He did. He did, because she
Come
left an
on, y'all.
impression on him. They were good. They were friends. They didn't know anything different. She high yellow. I mean, what could have been, you know? But yeah, he had a crush.
I think he had a crush. And I think when they got there, because of the date 1901, he's old enough. Because we read in the book Negro with a Hat. No, actually, I saw it. It said that the Sunday school was for the young boy them to try to holler at the girls. And then I saw a documentary. I'll put it on the community board where Isaac Rose is actually speaking. And he's saying that the boy them used to pass the girl them note and all of them something yeah, in a Sunday school. You understand? So
Mm.
all of them something yeah did a go on.
Set up. Set up.
So my point is they're at that age, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's natural transition. They're at that age, and maybe the minister is like, absolutely not. You
Yeah,
know
and
what
that
I mean?
age is encouraged because that's the age they start, and that's the age that sometimes they marry them off to older men.
Right, that age
But
right there.
he was of color, and he didn't have nothing. So no, no, go to Kingston.
I think he sent them somewhere because I don't know that he sent them. He could have sent them to Scotland, but
We'll find
did,
out.
did the
No,
pastor
you
have
gonna
money?
dig. You gonna dig.
Look, I looked and I was like, Chummy Cam, but I'm in a no wedding guy. Thank you so much for coming
No
on.
problem. No
I'm
problem.
glad
Thanks,
you guys
darling.
are enjoying it as much as I am enjoying looking and learning. And again, someone said to me, Amuna, why did you say that Marcus was born Marcus Messiah Richards? And and again, it's from what we found out that at the time that he's born, his parents are not married, and therefore the maiden name of the mother until later on. But again, the curious thing about that conversation is the father is there. That was curious. I don't know. The father was there. He was the witness. He signed off on the birth certificate, but he did not list himself as father. So that was like a little technicality um, at the time of his birth. No, Shay said that's why he was pelted the church. That's how teenage boys try to get attention. Oh my goodness. Right. That story about I don't know where you would find old court cases because those would be curious. It's not those old court cases have to be in some type of other archive. That would be interesting to look at. But yeah, there had to be some now that you mention it, what was the motivation to break the church windows? He could have been in his feelings. Now that you bring it up, Shay Love, it's a possibility. He could have been like, "What? You call me that?" Because what would make you desecrate the church in that way? Now that you mention it, what would make you allegedly, break church windows? The same church of the minister that lives next door to you. You could have felt a way. Because we're talking about human beings. Sometimes we like to look, and yes, he's Jamaica national hero. And I just shout out to a friend I have who just came back from Costa Rica. He was like, they have Marcus Garvey memorials there because Marcus Garvey went to Costa Rica. So he's known around the world, but he was also very human. And he also was a child, and he also did childish things. And then when he grew up, he did other things. So to know that he was doing these things uh, as a child is curious. He did say he was aggressive. So that may be a possibility of why, according to the narrative, he did that. Like, oh, y'all took away Eleanor or Beryl, depending on which one it is, but I'm leaning towards Eleanor. All right, I got something for you. Maybe. And his mom's bails him out. Because wouldn't they have to interview him to be like, why did you do this thing? So with that said, let me see if we have anything else. We have all of that information. Again, I shared to you guys where I get it from. Okay, Kevin, can you share a little bit more? Kevin is saying, and I was looking for the UNI papers. He says that in volume 1, it has copies of Marcus writing letters to his friends explaining his travels and explains his trip to Scotland in 1914 and why. Can you help us? I mean, Clement, you could click the link if you would like. Why does he say he went to Scotland? Because that's a far way to go. That's a far way to go. So if you have any more information as to why, because that, again, each one teach one. Why does it say he went to Scotland? That would be interesting to know. I'm gonna run to a commercial real quick, and then I'm gonna be right back and see if we get any more information or anyone else want to come up. Like I said, the part where I have the facts, and the part where we're just having a discussion, that's that part right there. So if you have more facts on it, feel free to share. Island Twist follows Jackie Brown, a young girl who finds herself head over heels for the new island boy at school in fresh outer yard, and Jackie has the fever. But as she navigates the ups and downs of her new crush, things quickly spiral out of control when her not so secret admirer becomes determined to sabotage her relationship. So check out the new novel Island Twist over on Amazon today. Now back to the story. All right. So if you don't have that information now, it's cool. You could drop it in the box in the comment section afterwards. I would like to look towards that and see why he says he went to Scotland, right? So with that said, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I touched on everything I kind of wanted to touch on, and from there we're gonna move forward in this whole conversation of Marcus Garvey. Who knew? Who knew, Marcus? We just in the first 2 pages, and you are giving us a lot to consider. A lot. Not you say that he did say he was aggressive a lot of times. He did say he was aggressive. But we're going to continue on this here journey. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Everybody have a blessed night, and we will talk again soon. All right. All right. And make sure you share the video, like it, distribute it to someone who may benefit from it. You done already? Each one teach one. All right. One.